We making it. I got a camera, and we are making this the state of Texas versus Hubert Seller docket number 202300627. City client number 200 whatever it is. I want the Justice Department to see this on YouTube, so we're gonna tell them. I already told them intimidation was going on after I told them they forced me across the street by power of intimidation, looking at me standing at power and taunting. So we just got a Wylette. And one thing it asks if you want a jury or just a lawyer. So we don't trust that the way the community been acting. So when we see the judge, we filed a racial complaint, a civil rights complaint over intimidation. They're gonna look down on the ground when I told them to leave. And I told them I made many complaints about the community. You called me out there, so I was taunting the community. Your community was taunting me. I want the Justice Department to know this situation and the disagreement that we had, because I have told them to reach out to the Justice Department. You got into September the 5th. Things supposed to be addressed. No trickery, no understanding with that. Intimidation, forcing me across the street. After I sat there and I told you I wasn't going nowhere. Power of intimidation, they wanted to show that they was the right and I was wrong. And they stood right there. They know I was going across that street. They know I didn't have to go ahead and I told them I kept on leaving when they forced me. One lady intimidated. They planned to stay right there. So I filed a civil rights complaint. I told them they're gonna see the police behavior constantly. The Justice Department gonna see the jealousy out the car the same day I wrote out a Mexican police. So, and that same thing is about the spiritual facial expression of the little Mexican police officer. So, after I keep I got a right to be on my phone. But you're not seeing what your community did. See, you're explaining one side of the situation, but your community in the cars ain't telling you what they doing. You see, this is the one, and I want the Justice Department to see this. So we're gonna listen to the judge, and then we're gonna get the judge the time to talk, and then I'm gonna talk. And that was intimidation of a police officer. They're gonna play that video camera when I sat on the sidewalk. When a police come, you got to make sure you don't have no weapons and they don't feel like you're a threat to them. So I sat on the ground on the end where I don't want the police to feel like I'm a threat. So I put myself down and I sat down, because you know how that other Mexican acted. The Justice Department gonna see a pattern. They're gonna see a pattern with their behavior and the community behavior, and those things. So with those situations, just like that gas station, bam, the spirit behavior, a taunting in the car. One kid said blah 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 all talk. It's the taunting. It's the same thing they did at Whataburger. So this is for the Justice Department against the state of Texas. So we understand it's a pattern. Then church in the city, we understand that's a pattern, how they've been acting. So it's a pattern. So they're going to be able to look at the camera. When I told them I filed my civil rights complaint and I have a right, they didn't care. They wanted to intimidate. That's intimidation of a police officer. Look at their eyes of timid and still want to stay in that spot. She turned and staring at me. The camera is not seeing. When they look at that camera, they are not seeing the police officers the way they look at me in the facial expression. That's intimidation. You know I didn't have to go. You know I was trying to stand my ground and I told you about my civil rights. So when we understand about those things, I put on civil rights intimidation. So we understand those things of what is going on here. When I told him, I didn't want to put you on camera. I didn't want to do none of those things. My social media was on, but I didn't want that. I wanted that. Then you saw me after you intimidating. You saw me across the street. Then you still behave yourself wrong as a police officer. For number one, I told you I was going to file a civil rights complaint on you about knocking on my door and starting up trouble. And I told you that. And I told you, and I told the Justice Department and the Civil Rights that you started up trouble, agitating the situation. I didn't go to your courtroom. So when I made my complaint, I told you I gave you enough time to count. Let me tell you, I gave that court time enough time to contact the Justice Department. Between that and that happened, you have enough time to communicate with them. You see the spirit behavior, the facial expression. Let me tell you, if they had cameras on each side of the street where the cars at to see inside the car, you can't see other people's behavior. So this is going to be the slash Justice Department, intimidation. You look straight on the ground and you intimidate me. You want to stay in your power. And that's the problem when I told you you didn't care about what I said. That's intimidation. I want you to see my hands shaking. My hands are shaking because of the energy, the love, and the energy. I'm not scared of what you saw on camera. They think they all that in a bag of chips. I'm not scared. I told them they was gonna lose their job and they gonna regret what they did in intimidating and forcing me across the street. That's intimidation. Sitting right there in the car. When I told you I filed my civil rights complaint, they think I'm supposed to go to their police force. And I finally made the complaint. And I told them, contact the Justice Department. When I went to courtroom, contact the behavior from the community. You know, Donald Trump said something, because I love uneducated people. But look at how this goes. We have to understand those moments. We got intimidation. So when I get in court, we give it the chance to talk. It should not be no retreat. It should not be none of that when I'm giving you a deadline. When you have a deadline, I'm gonna tell the Justice Department. When I have gave you they don't see what's happening in the car. That's the difference. It should not be no this and that, and I'm gonna tell the civil rights. It should not be none of that. This and that. No, I'm giving you a deadline. You have to then. I schedule the court date the next day. So you got there until the 15th. So we understand analyzing that situation. But you need to look at the spirit behavior in the car. I want to tell a judge that first police officer that stopped me for the first, he wanted to get to know me. He's black, and I don't know if that was the same him, and maybe the energy different. I don't know. I don't recognize him because if I would have recognized him, my behavior would have changed a lot different if I would have recognized him. But I don't think that's the same guy that I met the last time. I don't think that's the same Rowlett police officer that I met the first time. So I don't know about that situation. So that's a good question. Did we meet in that other spot? So I have to ask that question, like, because this guy, I don't know if that was him. Maybe I don't know if that was him. So I really don't know if that was him. So I know if I would have recognized him, I wouldn't act like that. If I would have really recognized him, I know I wouldn't act like that, and I would have listened to him. So it's a different that man. The first conversation I had with the black guy, the other police officer, that probably I didn't, So it depends of the situation. The other guy I first met, he was a cool guy, and I don't know if that was the same police officer. So it different so many. So, but I recognize people. I recognize the good people. So either good or bad, I recognize them, and I remember them in my head. So I'm just not quite sure that was him that I met the first time. Again, when the community was behaving in their car. So this police officer was a cool guy. I worked Addison at U-Haul, and one of my CSM, one of the corporate office CSMs, he went into the Dallas police officer. He was working at U-Haul. He Mexican, and he was a regional store manager for U-Haul. And he used to tell me, Hubert, I'm about to leave U-Haul when he come in there at Addison, and he talked to everybody and us. He about to leave. He got to join the Dallas police force. I never seen him again. I don't know where he. I don't know where this Dallas police officer that worked, because when somebody leave one job and they want to pursue another job, I don't know if I ever seen him again. I don't know. You don't run into people that you actually work with and they change career. They're like the mailman. He don't even the mailman in Addison, and he don't even and he didn't even say nothing to me. And I remember him in Addison. He's doing it. What up, guy? Like, what up? I worked with him before I recognized him from somewhere, and I said, I just sworn he worked that way. He looked familiar. I worked with him before. But understand those things and understand those things. But the analyzing the situation, analyzing it, that's the thing. That was intimidation. So I'm gonna tell you what the camera go. They're gonna look at my behavior, but they need to look at the police officer's behavior. They need to look at the intimidation that was going on, and to stand your ground when I'm on my phone just talking and having a good time talking to my friends and connecting with people. So we understand those things and get it understood. Those are the things. So understand these things, how the spiritual side is. And that little Mexican think I didn't make the complaint when I saw his spiritual side on that same side the day before. He really think that I didn't see his spirit on that same screen. I see your spirit. God say, I see Your spirit when you're grouchy, God sees it. God, your creator sees it. I want the Wildlife Police to know something. And I want them to know something. And I want the state of Texas to know something for me. God said, I tell your loved ones I'm sleeping in my heavens, on my throne. But they don't know that my spirit have left my heavens. They think I'm sleeping. My spirit had entered a heart that is pure. So God said this. Now, I want the state of Texas to know that because I'm going to put / just state of Texas. I want them to know God said, if I was in an army, I want the monopolist to see my enemy. I want the satellite to see my enemy. I will see my enemy by spirit. When I'm in church in the city, I don't see body. I see spirit. Each kid. God sees it. We see it when we believe in that higher power. We see it. So when I'm in church in the city, I'm not looking at body. I'm looking at spirit. And I want Ryan to hear me. I'm looking at spirit. Evil will not escape my sight like Greenland. I'm sorry, I got to be professional about this. But I'm sorry, state of Texas, I'm sorry. I feel like Green Lantern right now, okay? I feel like, I'm sorry, state of Texas and Justice Department, but I feel like Green Lantern right now. I'm sorry because I'm making a YouTube video right now for the Justice Department in the state of Texas. But I feel like Green Lantern, evil will not escape my sight, and I see the spirit. I don't, well, great gifts come great response. It's understanding it. But, it's maintaining it. That's the biggest difference for me to see in the Holy Spirit. And to be able to not just see in the Spirit, to see the mindsets of others. To read them from 5 or 10 feet away. And I don't judge, but you see the Spirit and the spirit behavior of the body. I don't see demons. The spirit of the behavior have different mood strains, different sets, different when you're selfish, happy, when you don't like certain things. We able to see those things in many ways. So if I'm in somewhere and you see me and you think I'm this and that, no, it's the spirit. I have to keep my eyes open, and I can't understand it. I really can't understand it, guys. I really can't understand this. I was talking to that little kid because he reminded me when my kid was little. And I see the spirit. When I first hold my kid, I didn't just think of body, I saw spirit. I saw holding him because it was not just about body. It was about spirit of him. The way he laughed and did all and winked his eye at me. Those things were so much great. And I played my song. I remember calling Diamond and I played my song. And I told Diamond, my son winked at me when he was a baby. And I tried to tell you, but you don't even remember when I hold you in my arms and I had to rush down because your mama was under heavy sedation. She couldn't breathe. And I had to rush down. I had to cancel all my things with Social Security and them to come down there because your mama still wasn't breathing after she got out. So I had to do all of that. But once I came there, and I started playing my song. Your grandma told me, "Oh, you can't play cuss words to baby." All right, I wanted to hear Daddy song. I wanted to hear that. I wanted to hear Daddy. He winked his eye. He don't even remember. I tell him, "Remember when you was a baby? You winked your eye at me. When you just a thing, you winked your eye at me." And I didn't been around nieces, nephews, and hold my nephews and nieces and stuff, and I ain't never seen it happen. I remember, I'm gonna tell the Justice Department. I remember being around Mirza's sister. older sister. Mirza got two older sisters I do music with. And his little daughter was always his sister's daughter. His sister daughter, she used to always cry. See how Joe Biden was scared? You see how Joe Biden, that's how Mirza's sister daughter was. She was scared. Every time I get close to her, she cries. She cries. And one day when a long time ago, and now I'm at Mirza's house, she want to race me. I say, you used to be scared of me. You now you're all big now, and you man, and I say, now you want to race me? I can't even hold you. Every time I get close to you, you cry. I'm like, what the heck? Oh man, I'm like when I was by Mirza, I was like, when before we got into an argument, guys, this is for the Justice Department because I understand we're talking about certain things, and I'm sitting in Mirza yard, and I'm running, I'm racing them. They kids, and they want me to race. I said, girl, you can't even. I can't even. Every time I try to pick you up, you. Every time I try to pick you up, you going with it go? All right. They had that fix on that dryer. Tell them that thing is in that thing. Every time they come to pick you up, every time I try to pick you up, now you running. Oh man, I was just so shocked when I got by Mirza's house. I said, you used to be scared of me when you was a baby. Like you see how Joe Biden act with the kid and the guy. That's how yeah. Can you tell? All right. The thing is, hold up, but I'm sorry. Um, but that I'm sorry. The guy I was just learning something new. How he was taking the dryer apart. It's something I just seen something new. How he was really taking that dryer apart. I just seen something. How the technique of some get stuck in there. I just seen how he did something. So I want to tell you, I'm sorry, Joseph, I had to leave for a minute. But those the things that happen. So we understand those things and how we doing things. So I wanted to understand how things is. So man, those was the things, bro. And I see Joe Biden with that kid. We got back on there. It remind me of this. how Mirza sister daughter used to act when she was a baby. I can't even get close to her without her crying. When I see that with Joe Biden, and that's how I remember being around Mirza and them. It reminded me when I saw Joe Biden on TV. She used to always cry. Every time I got back to it, and I remember being by Mirza. It's been a while, and I seen them grow. You couldn't even listen. Hold up for a second. You couldn't even. I say to myself, you used to cry every time I get close to you, and now you want me to run. I was like, whoa, I'm having a moment right now. I was having a moment in that yard with them, just running with them. I was having a moment with Mirza's sister kids and daughter, little girl that got older. I said, look, I'm like, whoa, you used to be scared for me to even pick you up. So, man. I just think that was the, I just think that was the thing. I had a moment with them right there. That was a moment with Mirza sister and them in that yard right there. I'm gonna remember that moment forever because she was so scared. And now she 8, 9 years old, and I can run. She want me to run with her in the yard. Before that, I can't even pick you up. Lord of mercy, you used to be scared. Oh man, and I see Joe Biden with the kids. That the same way, But I was a teenager. She was acting like, hold on. Like what? Hmm. I'm sorry I delayed something for y'all, and I'm sorry because somebody was coming fixing the dryer. And I'm sorry, but this guy just acted. I gotta get that because it causing problems. Um, don't got time for those things. I'm really trying to handle this issue with Social Security and deal with all my issues. And it seems like it's not always that easy, right? So all I can do is take one of them. Joy and Victoria told me to take care of your health and make sure your health is okay. Make sure everything is okay. And make sure those things are good. So I can't wait to go see Pastor Steve and the rest of them, and maybe meet Kanye West. I can't wait to just be a part of something greater. Especially the Walmart CEOs. I can't wait to this party. I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to them. God said we looking forward. We looking forward to it. If not, we got something with Junior Victoria and Pastor Steven that I'm going to film production. And they really LA film production. That's going to really be a good thing. I'm really going to have fun with that. I'm waiting for that to have fun. So so man, it's sad that we can't go back, right? You think about memories, but you got to move forward. It's just amazing. So I'm telling the Justice Department, look at that camera now. That was intimidation. Look how they was looking at me. That's intimidation. When I'm sitting on the ground, that called intimidation. I just said release will no longer. Oh, God said we letting it in. Trust me. I'm watching my Sagittarian horoscope. I'm watching my Sagittarian horoscope. I'm gonna have to take care of this dude.